Historically, blacks were not free with any kind of communication from the government until June 19th.
Juneteenth is the day in which enslaved individuals in Texas learned that they were free.
Juneteenth is a day to pause and to reflect and to really assess where we are.
When the announcement was made, the slaves began right away to celebrate and being thankful to God for being free.
There was a time when we were not free to do what we wanted to do, couldn't go and come, families were destroyed and broken up.
I think there's a lot of confusion today amongst the younger generation about what Juneteenth is and who celebrates Juneteenth.
Every year on June 19th, African Americans in Texas gather to celebrate the Juneteenth holiday. It all began in 1865 when Union soldiers, led by Major General Gordon Granger, landed at Galveston, Texas. There, Granger stood outside Ashton Villa and announced that the Civil War had ended and that the enslaved were now free. This was 2.5 years after President Abraham Lincoln issued his Emancipation Proclamation. Granger's general order would finally free the last 250,000 slaves whose bondage had been essentially unaffected by Lincoln's proclamation.
Galveston was a very important place. It was like New York City. Galveston was a metropolis.
Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, as important as it was then, and in some ways it's become even more important as a statement of the United States since that time, it really was symbolic in many ways, because when he issued it in January 1863, it did not go into effect. In other words, the South, or the Confederates, did not free their slaves at that time.
It had little effect in Texas because communication got there kind of slow. There were no federal troops in this part of the nation, so there was nobody to enforce the Emancipation Proclamation.
The issue here in Texas is that the Union Army was not in control, and slaves were not fools, and they were not suicidal. So to get up and walk off the plantation, indeed, if you were successful in